everyone, it's Emily Fox. Today's video is going to be my quarterly favorite. So for the first 3 months of the year, I have read 27 books. I'm going to put it on the screen because I'm currently in the middle of like 5 different ones, so it's a little confusing in my brain where I'm at. But beginning of the year, January, February, I was kind of in a reading slump. I still finished like 6 and 5 books. At the end, after a couple, I just wasn't really feeling it. But March is where things changed for me, and I finally read a couple of really good books. And I thought it would be fun to just summarize everything, letting you know the best ones, the ones I recommend the most. I'm going to stick to fiction, but I'm going to give some special mentions to nonfiction because there's no special mention for fiction. It was either like really good or like not great. I blame it on my 1 week, 1 shelf challenge of February. Usually it goes like hit and miss, but I feel like except for 1 week, everything was a mess. But on the bright side, whenever I do an unhaul video, probably in June, as I usually do, I will have a couple books to get rid of. It's okay, you know, spring cleaning, making more space on my shelf for haul videos, because I'm hoping I'm going to have time to make one maybe every month from now on. So yes, let's focus on the theme of this video though. The best books that I have read, my top 5 of the beginning of the year. Let's talk about it. I usually don't put an order, but I mean, very easily top 1 and 2 are from the same series, and it is the Xenogenesis or Lilith's Brood series. There's a couple of names for it. This is my gorgeous edition, but I read Dawn and Adulthood Rites by her. It's an adult sci-fi, and I know I've talked about it, but I will not shut up about her books because I will read everything I own by her. You can kind of see, but over here it's like basically all of her books. Well, most of the ones that I have. I think there's only like 3 that I don't own or something of her like main work, so it will happen though. I will get my hands on them. So both of these, fantastic. Like I said, adult sci-fi, first contact with aliens, but do not be scared. I feel like when I say that, some of you are definitely sci-fi fans, but I feel like some of you are like scared of them. Don't be. This is definitely like not putting your toe in the sci-fi pool. It's definitely jumping straight up, but it's not overwhelmingly sci-fi. There's no like pew pew alien spaceship. It's humanity. We kill off ourselves with nuclear war because we do that, and aliens arrive and scoop the rest of the people, and they attempt to like figure out a way maybe to work together, which sounds great of an idea, but if you were to be in that situation, it's kind of freaky, and you're following a story through this the main character, Lilith. And she doesn't know, are the aliens good? Is their version of good compatible with us? I enjoyed some of the like comments about, for example, what the aliens did with the people that were doing the war. I'm not going to spoil anything. But there were some really interesting moments, some comments about humanity, what the aliens thinks is our problem. And it's just such a fun idea to explore through sci-fi. She does the same thing with like gender, sexuality. So it's just a good... Okay, I'm going to make a comment. I will probably regret that one. But I feel like it's a very, very dark version of a Becky Chambers work. In the sense that, like, again, using sci-fi and aliens to explore topics that are important. You know? That's probably the only thing that they have in common. But, well, I would really love their work too. So yes, absolutely adore this. I have the last book to read. I'm hoping to do it this month in April. But these 2 books are the only 2 I gave 5 stars to so far this year. Like I said, wasn't the best reading year so far, but this is just amazing. Definitely look up some trigger warnings if you are sensitive to certain things, but it is just really great and really interesting, and I have no idea where she's going every time, which, thank you. I love that. I love that, seriously. So yes, we'll read the rest of the trilogy and everything else she has written. Like, I will become annoying. Hopefully with the book club we can read more because I love her work so much. And the books are pretty short, by the way. They're like 250 pages each, so you can read them really quickly. So the rest of the books are not in any particular order, but I wanted to rave about this one because this is so out of my comfort zone, technically. Timeline by Michael Crichton. This is my 3rd book by him, and he does write sci-fi, which is definitely my jam, but this is like time traveling, kind of historical-ish fiction, which that's definitely not something that I read a lot of, so maybe that's why this for me was just a ton of fun. This was part of my 1 week, 1 shelf in the sci-fi section. This actually pile of book is where this one is normally, and I remembered watching the movie as a kid, but like really, really vaguely, and I actually did rewatch it after I read it, and Okay. Except for the hair of Jared Butler, I don't think anything else really was that worth it. I much prefer the book, as it usually is the case, but you're following a group of archaeologists that are sent back in time through an organization, blah blah blah, to save their supervisor, I guess, their boss. And they're sent, like, I don't remember how long ago, into the Middle Ages, and they have to try and survive with whatever they know. And I really enjoyed it. There were some dark moments, there were some funny moments, and I really, it was just such a quick read too. Like, I read this in a couple days, and it's like almost 500 pages. Loved it. The only thing is the ending, which again I will not spoil, but I felt like it was a little too like Hollywood for me. But it is what it is. I still think this is totally worth the read if you are someone that is into maybe historical fiction or time traveling. You probably already know this one if you are into that. But yes, I enjoyed it. Not something I ever read genre-wise, but it was great and made me look forward to reading more Michael Crichton. He does tend to write, like, section of his books are always like really dry science, which I don't mind, but like that might not be, it's not overpowering in the book, so don't worry. But yes, I have like 2 or 3 more books by him on my shelf, and I will get to them hopefully soon. Next, to my surprise, The Queen of Tearling. I completely forgot this book existed. It was on my shelf, and it reminds me that I need to do like a vlog, probably trying like a couple of the books that I forgot that I own, and like read the first chapter and pick 1 or 2 to finish kind of thing, or maybe all of them, or I have to get rid of them if we want to make it like mean of a challenge. But I completely forgot this existed. This has been on my shelf for like 5+ years. It's an adult fantasy trilogy, and I always thought the spines were pretty, and I had heard great things, but I just never got around to reading them. So I read the first book, and awesome. It's so much fun. I could not put it down once again. It finally reminded me of like that phase when I started Booktube and I just couldn't put books down, and that I just would find excuses to read at any moment. Like, you wake up and you want to read. And I really got that same feeling with that one. A lot of political intrigue, there's not a lot of romance, which there's like a love interest, but nothing really, which I tend to prefer in my fantasy books. And I have no idea where it's going. There are a few things that I'm a little worried because some of you commented, you have to stop telling me. But I'm still looking forward to finishing the series, even though I have heard that the 3rd book is really controversial. So we'll see. But I really enjoyed myself. Young queen trying to finally take back her throne and trying to figure it out, and it's great. I really enjoyed it. I gave that one like 4.25. It's awesome. The only thing I'm still confused, which please don't tell me, but is the fact that it seems to be in our world, but then it's not. So I'm just really confused as to like what's going on with that, but I want to know. The last book in the official top 5 would have to be this one, which is The Shadow of the Gods, which is such a popular Norse-inspired adult fantasy book. And there are a bunch of gods, like gigantic. Have you seen? This is a person. Gods that apparently had this epic battle and kill off each other. And some of their descendants still have magical powers, but these people are kidnapped and used as slaves. And you're following a few point of views of people trying to survive in this world where honestly, I don't understand how anyone makes it to adulthood. I know I wouldn't. Like, I would die instantly. I didn't care as much about Erika, who's like one of the main female characters, as much as I wanted to. And I much prefer, who's the other guy? I think it's Varg point of view. So you'll definitely have like a favorite character to follow. It's just that you're following a few different characters and you don't know how their stories link until towards the end, which I really enjoyed the ending. I feel like my interest throughout the book, like, it started pretty good, then like lowered toward the middle, and then like it really came back really strong towards the end. I just personally prefer learning about world building and magic systems, so you finally get a little bit more of that towards the end, so that's definitely on me. I definitely got the feeling though, when you start a really complicated fantasy or sci-fi and you read the first page and it's like Simlish, how do you call it? The video game? Like, nothing makes sense. I got really strong vibes of that throughout the whole book. There is technically the little gloss area at the end, but my dumb ass completely forgot to even look. So definitely do if you have the physical copy. But yes, I overall really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I'm really curious more about learning more about the gods and the magic, really. But yes, really popular for a good reason. I understand the hype. This for me was a 4 stars. Now, let's talk about some special mention with some nonfiction. I have read 7 nonfiction so far this year. It was one of my challenges to read more, but I don't know what's going on with me. I've never read this many in a year, ever. If I go with the cliche answer, I do have to say that The Emperor of All Maladies is fantastic biography about cancer. It was really, really great. It's definitely on the heavier side, and I did flip back and forth with the audiobook and physical book, which I feel like really helped me go through it. I'm really glad I did. I do think it's worth the hype. You often see it on like, you know, like health science nonfictions to read. Yes, totally worth the read. But if I have to choose like a personal favorite, I personally would go with What Doesn't Kill You, which is a memoir of this woman who has Crohn's disease. So basically a memoir about chronic illness and about the healthcare system. And she is based in the US, so I feel like it will be more useful if you are also American. But I feel like her memoir, because I've read a couple on that topic, not necessarily Crohn's disease, but chronic illnesses, I found that hers was really hopeful and helpful. There's a ton of information if you want resources online, for example. So I thought that this one was really, really good. Really enjoyed it. But the one that I think that the most people would enjoy would be this one, which is The Woman They Could Not Silence, which is another book by the same author that wrote The Radium Girls, which I really like that one also. Really traumatizing though. But this one is about a woman, basically the story of one woman, but to talk about how it used to be. Basically, this woman started having opinions, political, religious opinions, and her husband decided time to put her in a insane asylum, and how the whole system let her down, and how it was the case for a ton of women. And yes, it was really, really interesting. Obviously a very frustrating read. I was mad the whole time, but it's a good thing, right? So if you're looking for a new nonfiction book, I would highly recommend that one. I did actually listen to that one as an audiobook and really enjoyed it. I don't recommend the audiobook though for The Radium Girls, by the way. Definitely recommend that book too, but like I read it a couple years ago. So even though it wasn't my best reading quarter, I still found some really interesting books, some new favorites, and I'm really looking forward to the rest of the year because, like I said, no more reading slump, which this is literally the best feeling ever. But yes, I'm really excited to read so many books. If you haven't seen my April TBR, I will link that down below because I have so many books on my TBR. I even started different ones that the ones I mentioned because I cannot be stopped. I just want to read all the books right now. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thumbs up, subscribe. Please let me know in the comment section what are the best books that you have read in the first quarter of 2022, because I want to know. We're always looking for more books to add to our never-ending TBRs, and I will be putting more videos on the screen that I recommend you check out, and I will see you in an upcoming video very soon. Bye.